the Fort Wayne, Indiana Habitat for Humanity ReStore. And you might ask, what in the hell does this have to do with ham radio? I'm going to show you in a minute. Now this is a score of today, 45 bucks for 500 feet, 12 gauge solid, right? 14 gauge stranded, 500 feet, 45 bucks as well. I'll show you what I picked up a couple weeks ago. So let's talk about finds at the ReStore. Insulators, right? These obviously came off some kind of an electrical pole, would be my guess. But picked up a pair of these on this mounting rack for 10 bucks. It's a couple months back. Should have picked up the other one, and I didn't. Kicking myself in the butt for it because it wasn't there the week after. You would think, what in the world does this big socket have to do with ham radio? You have to think. This, let's see, where is it? Not that it matters all that much. 1 11/16. It's a big honking piece of metal with a easy, non-sharp hole. Put a loop of 550 through here, and you can sling this over, you can throw it and sling it over limbs to get your antenna wire up and running. Okay, so throw weight. Yes, I know there are better ways, but come on, man, for $1? The drummers in the crowd are gonna cringe. $5, this was today, okay? And you think, again, what in the world are you gonna do with, some drumsticks? Well, guess what? You cut these puppies up and drill holes through them. Insulators, okay? Easy insulators, cheap. Another one from today, they had them marked at 45 bucks. I just looked at the Homeless Despot. It's 75 bucks. Go look it up. Same stuff. This is 14 gauge stranded, 500 feet for 45 bucks. Not a great deal in comparison to what prices we had, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago. But today, fantastic deal, right? You guys may have seen this before. This is a spool of, home coax. It's paid $5 for it, okay? And 75 ohm coax. Well, guess what? My coaxial collinear antenna was made out of this stuff. I've made 4 antennas so far out of this stuff in cocoa, right? It works, especially for a receive antenna. I don't need to transmit with this. This is all for receive for me. I haven't tried transmitting with it yet. I may make a transmit antenna out of it later, but not right now. Here are the real deals, right? This is about a month and a half ago. I picked this up at the ReStore, same ReStore. This is a spool of 14 gauge stranded, 500 feet for 27 bucks. Same day, same store. 12 gauge, stranded, 500 feet, 39 bucks. Same thing here, right? It's different color on the coating, right? And I'm pretty sure that they changed this price here because I told them this is way cheaper than Home Depot when I bought these over here, right? So I kicked myself for not having picked up the spool of 14 gauge that they had before. And then lastly, this is my odds and ends for ham radio stuff, right? Connectors and blah, 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 blah. The can of stuff that we all have, and we have to find some home for it so that we know where to find it. Picked it up at the ReStore for $2, right? So, it all adds up, right? This hobby isn't cheap to begin with. So why not save some bucks where you can? I'm going to make some antennas out of this. Actually, let's see, the 14 gauge is going to be part of my field of radials for an antenna I'm going to put up later on this year. These are probably going to become sky loops. I've already made one sky loop out of another spool I have. I picked up, and I made an 80 meter sky loop, and it's working so well that I'm thinking about building a 160 meter sky loop out of this stuff here. definitely going to be making some more coaxial collinear antennas. Again, insulators, and you know, the drummers can cry all they want, but for $5, I'm definitely picking these up, chopping them up and drilling them up to turn them into insulators for the antennas I'm going to make with these, right? Throwaway insulators. I may mount this the way it is with a piece of rope through the middle. It's hollow there. That was meant for mounting. So that I can string two different antennas or insulate two different antennas using these. All of it came, everything that you see here, I've shown you here so far, straight out of the ReStore. And, you know, not all ReStores are the same. The Fort Wayne, Indiana ReStore is really new and it has a lot of selection. They get a lot of good stuff there all the time. Know that there's things to be had ham radio related if you look in these places. So, I was putting away some of this stuff that I've already showed you, and then I realized I'm missing some things. Here's an example of a ReStore find. 16-foot Extendo fishing pole that I use as a secondary mast when I'm using my Pactena at a park. Pick this puppy up at the ReStore for $5, right? So, again, stuff to be had. So as I'm putting things away, I'm trying to remember what other things have I bought, either at the ReStore or at the secondhand store or whatever, that is somewhat radio related. So let's look at some of these things. All of this came as a kit. I paid a whole $1 for it. I think it was $1. Yep, it was $1. All right. A Reactance Nomograph. And then inside of it is this handy chart. Okay. You know, dual-sided. Tried looking this thing up, and the closest I can come up with is Wide Light. This company had a catalog in 1976 that referenced this little tool. This is just some kind of a reference guide. Now again, you think, what in the world do these 2 wrenches have to do with ham radio? The same thing as the socket did. You can put paracord through there and use this as a throw weight. And believe it or not, yes, I have used this as a throw weight. And go look up the price of a Proto 7/8 wrench right now. Guarantee you is more than $1, and that's what I paid for this puppy. I paid $1 for that one. I paid $1 for that one. It's 13/16. So when I don't need to throw something as heavy as that big socket, these do the trick. Okay. Other secondhand store stuff. All these books came. There's a local store called Half Price Books. I don't know. You know, there are some places in the U.S. I don't know about anywhere else. Go look them up on the internet. But here we go. Radio Telephone License Manual, Radio Handbook 5th edition, Radio Operators License Q&A, Fundamentals of Electronics, Elements of Radio Servicing, right? Reference data for radio engineers, Everybody's Radio Manual, and second class Radio Telephone License Handbook. Now I picked this one up today. Yeah, let's look at this up. Original price was $3.95 US. Paid $5 for it today. But check this out. 1960, okay? So there were a couple other books that were related to radio, but not well enough related to radio that I wanted to pick them up. Again, for $5 at that store. And, you know, if I go through these and find myself bored again, I'll go back there. And if they still have them, I'll pick those, you know, the ones that I left behind up. Go check these places out. They're worth checking out. If anything, you don't find anything, at the very least, you had a good look. But all of these books, good reference manuals, secondhand stores, very little paid for them, especially this monster. I think I paid $10 for this one. Let me double check. 15. And I've used this thing as a reference more times than I thought I would ever. It's very, very neat stuff. So, well, that's what I have gotten so far the last couple of months at the ReStore, maybe 3 months now. I'm waiting on hopefully finding something I can use as the frame to support a Moxon. I'm gonna start with a 2-meter Moxon. Once I get the components for that, I'll make the first antenna out of some of that wire and we'll go from there. So stick around, you'll see that get built out of parts I found on the ReStore. We'll see you down the line. Maybe if you want to, you can watch that video, or is it that video? It's one of the two. It went that way, Doc.